Recording in progress.
Good morning, honorable members.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning.
Morning, Chairperson.
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning, all.
Good morning, National Commissioner and your team.
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson and Honorable members.
Thank you very much. I think we are ready to start with our meeting. I don't see the Minister and the Deputy Minister on the platform. But let's continue with the meeting. Babalo, are we in quorum?
Good morning, Chair. Yes, we do have a quorum. You can start a meeting. I received an apology from the Minister and the DM, Chair. They won't be able to attend the meeting.
Okay. Can we have the agenda?
Honorable Chairperson, if I may.
Yes, National Commissioner.
Thanks. The agenda point number 3, which is 6.3, briefing by SAPS on the outcome of the Saver Festive season. I would ask the committee for the understanding that the presentation we still have not yet been processed through with the minister. It hasn't been finalized. If it's possible, if we can defer it to next meetings. Thank you very much.
Okay. There is a proposal from the National Commissioner that we defer item 6.3 because it has not been properly processed. Honorable Marekwa.
Thank you, Chairperson, and good morning to yourselves and all members and participants on the platform. I would like to agree and support the proposal, Chair, that it be deferred, just to follow the necessary processes internally. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Can I then request for...
I second that, Chair. Thank you, Sheikh Imam.
Thank you. Can I then call for a motion to adopt the agenda, the amended agenda without 6.3?
Chair, I hereby adopt the agenda with amendments.
Honorable Gomba moves. Can I get a second?
Chair.
Honorable Peacock seconds. Is there a different view? Thanks very much. This will be the guiding agenda for meeting for today. We will not deal with 6.3. It will be deferred to the next meeting so that it can be well processed. I want to move to apologies. Honorable Reverend Mishwe. Baruti. Honorable Gerike.
Chair, good morning. I apologize. Good morning, colleagues. Just a request. I am currently tuned in on my phone. I'm trying to get onto my laptop now, but I can't find the link, the mail. Can somebody resend it to my Parliament address, please, on my laptop? If it's possible, Babawa, through the chair. I want to open the screen on my laptop, please. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Babalo will deal with that. Honorable Mishwe. Oh, it's gone. Apologies. We've already received apologies. Oh, Honorable Mishwe.
I apologize. I have a challenge with my laptop, but I'm now on my phone. I want to submit an apology that 11 o'clock I'm attending another meeting, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Baruti. Are there further apologies?
Yes, Chair.
Yeah,
I
Chair.
also received the apologies from Dr. Kronewald and Mr. Whitfield.
What are they saying?
Mr. Whitfield, he's on leave, and then Mr. Kronewald, he did not indicate why he's not going to attend the meeting.
Okay.
Chairperson, Sheikh Imam. I am
Honorable
part
Sheikh.
of the. I am in the meeting. I'm also on appropriations and also got the chief whip secretary, but I will be in and out. I will be so, yeah. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Honorable Ted Blanche.
Thank you, Chairperson. I just want to, ask permission to be excused if we are possibly going beyond 12 o'clock. I need to go somewhere else also after that.
Okay. Those are the apologies. I take that accepted. If not, can I get an indication? Accepted. We now move to item 3. Today, the committee will receive briefings on the third quarter crime statistics for the 2023-24 financial year, and the funding of community police forums. Following our meeting held on 1st December last year, the Minister submitted detailed responses to questions that emanated from that meeting. This document was distributed to members. Due to the detailed nature, we will only receive an update on the funding distribution and application of funds allocated to CPFs. The National Commissioner requested an extension on the report regarding the investigation into the allegations contained in the Tulare judgment because the internal investigation is still ongoing. This request was approved while noting the serious nature of the allegations contained in that judgment. We do not want to rush the investigation, but call on the National Commissioner to finalize it soonest and report the outcome to the committee. Honorable members, last week, the Minister of Finance delivered his 2024 budget speech, and as promised in the President's State of the Nation address, the police allocation increased by 7.7% from 105 billion in 23-24 to 113 billion in 24-25. An additional allocation of 22 billion will be made over the medium term to implement the 2023 Public Sector Wage Agreement. Although less of an increase, the allocations to the IPED and Secretariat increased by 1.7% and 1.2% respectively. Although we will not have the privilege to scrutinize the 24-25 budget, we trust that the 7th Parliament will ensure that the increased allocations will be used effectively and fruitfully to attain the MTF focus areas as identified by each department to ultimately build a safer community for all. On crime statistics, we would want to thank the Minister of Police for the release of the third quarter crime statistics. While we welcome the decrease in sexual offenses, the overall increase in contact crime is of significant concern, especially overall murder and attempted murder, and more especially the murder of women. During the first 3 quarters or 9 months of 2023, 88 police officers and a further 48 law enforcement and private security guards were killed in the line of duty. This is of significant concern and must be addressed as a matter of urgency. Further of concern is the sharp increase in the murder of farm dwellers between October and December 2023. This is a particularly sensitive and disenfranchised group and is exposed to human rights abuses and violence. Specific efforts must be put in place to ensure their safety within the broader national rural safety strategy. Honorable members, during last week's meeting, Honorable Gerike raised a very concerning matter about the assault and intimidation of pin pickers on refuse removal days by men wearing balaclavas in the north area of George. These alleged acts of violence are committed under the guise of a neighborhood watch structure, which is completely unacceptable. Citizens are not allowed to take over the duties of the police service to combat alleged crimes, as this borders on vigilantism. Honorable Gerike indicated that the matter was escalated to the head of visible policing, but that decisive action was not forthcoming from the police to act against this masked men terrorizing innocent victims. The acting National Commissioner committed to address the matter, and a report will be given during today's meeting. We trust that police took action to unmask these men and that those found guilty of criminality will be brought to book. I have received a letter from Honorable Whitfield requesting an urgent committee meeting to address the matter between the police service and the Inter-Cape bus service relating to the recent judgment handed down by the Eastern Cape Division of the High Court finding the police service wanting in the execution of their constitutional mandate. It was brought to Honorable Whitfield's attention that the matter was raised and discussed during our meeting on 14th February. The committee resolved that the department must submit quarterly feedback reports on the investigations. Further thereto, the committee requested that the department must submit a report stating the reasons for the initial court order to escort buses not adhered to. The department indicated that the judgment will be taken on review. As a new request, the department should keep the committee abreast of developments in the review application. Honorable members, let's engage with the agenda items and have fruitful discussions. Thank you very much. The next item would be minutes. Babalo, consideration and adoption of the minutes. Can we process the minutes, Babalo? Yes, scroll down. There you are, honorable members. Minutes on the screen. Adoption of the agenda, apologies and attendance. Opening and welcome, opening remarks by the chairperson. Consideration and adoption of the minutes and oversight report. Matters arising. Opening remarks by the Minister of Police. Presentation by the DNA Board. Please scroll down. Scroll down, Babalo. Yes, continue scrolling down. Next page. Next page. Presentation by the Office of the DPCI Judge. Committee resolution. Babalwa. Committee resolutions. The committee took the following resolutions and requested additional information. The national head of DPCI should submit a written report stating the reason for recommendations made by the Office of the DPCI Judge not being implemented. Relating to the issue raised by Honorable Kharige regarding attacks in bean pickers in the George area, SAPS should provide progress on steps taken to address the situation at the next meeting on Wednesday, 28 February. The Minister of Police should report the outcome of the scheduled meeting on 13 March 2024 between himself and the Chief Justice regarding the appointment of the retired judge to head the office of the DPCI Judge. Closing remarks by the Chairperson. And the meeting adjourned at 11:15. If there are there amendments to the minutes, subtractions, additions? Honorable Masuku.
Chair, the minutes are reflecting the true content of the deliberations that we had. Except that I would just like just a slight correction that all the time in the minutes, if it can be, my name can be represented by as MB Masuku. We must put a B. I only write the one name when I write it in full. That's Madala Masuku. So for just for consistency.
Yeah, let us be consistent with the name of Honorable Masuku. Are there further amendments? If not, can I get a motion for the adoption of the minutes?
I move, Chair.
And it's also written Miss instead of Mr. There is a motion. Can I get a seconder? For the adoption of the minutes? Honorable.
Good morning, Chair. Sorry, I've been struggling to unmute. I would like to second, Chairperson. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there an alternative view? No. Can we get to the next item? Matters arising. There are two issues there. Written response by the head of DPCI and a feedback, National Commissioner, on the issue raised by Honorable Gerike. Babalwa, did we get a response from the DPCI as yet?
Good morning, Chair. Yes, we did receive the response from the Office of the Civilian Secretariat for Police.
Okay. Was it distributed to members, all members?
Yes, Chairperson.
Okay, thanks. National Commissioner, the George issue.
Thanks, Honorable Chair. I'll ask General Musikidi to report on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. General.
Thank you, Chairperson, and good morning to yourself and the committee. Chairperson, I can confirm that when this matter was reported, it was attended immediately, as at the time I was also not only in the Western Cape, but sitting with the Provincial Commissioner of Western Cape. It was escalated to the District Commissioner, who then appointed the investigating officer. The case of assault was registered upon the receipt of the video that went viral. The matter was investigated. Statements that were obtained were compiled and placed in a case docket, and it was referred to court, and the court declined to prosecute due to what they indicated, that it has no prospects of successful prosecution. I must also indicate, Chairperson, that over and above the investigation of that assault matter, we concluded with the Provincial Commissioner that there will be waylay operations in that space and observations for the stopping of the recurrence of this particular incident, and for the possible pouncing and arresting of those that will be found to commit this particular matter at the time. I submit.
Thanks very much, General. Honorable members, there is a report on the two matters. The report was submitted from the head of the Hawks, and this is the feedback. Honorable Gerike, do you want to comment?
No, Chair, I'll wait. You're first dealing with the report of the Hawks. I'll wait for the next item. Thank you.
You are on the floor. Deal with it.
Okay, thank you, Chairperson. Chair, allow me to express my gratitude towards yourself as the Chairperson and the entire committee to have allowed me to submit that item or that complaint in last week's meeting. And secondly, thank you to the police for acting swiftly in such a short space of time. Let me just, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because this is too upsetting to me. It's going on for quite some time in George. And this morning I hear now that the state has declined to prosecute. Let me submit with respect to the National Commissioner for the Chairperson. And I'm going to give you the facts. This investigation has been done haphazardly because there was pressure from National to attend. That is right, rightly so. And the relevant people that should have been interviewed, people that were complaining for many months about these attacks, have not been interviewed. They've not been investigated because the detective told the complainant that there must be an outcome, there must be a statement, and so on. There are many people complaining on Facebook. They never, ever bother to go and see those people. That's the first thing. The second thing is, National Commissioner to the Chair, the investigating officer has told the complainant in this matter that there's no law regulating when people wear balaclavas, they cannot put them in jail or they cannot charge them. This is what the investigating officer has told them. And I communicate what has been communicated to me. Because if this is the type of quality of investigative work that we receive, then I don't know. I have gone to do my research myself. And there's a matter, the state versus somebody, Kola, K-O-L-A, where the court has clearly said it has been appealed almost 3 times to the highest court. The court said the intent after this is after a man was wearing women's clothes. First and foremost, he was found not guilty. Secondly, appealed. The state appealed, and then the appeal court granted to say, no, the man is guilty. It goes beyond my understanding and I want to emphasize this, that people trying to pursue a vigilante agenda operate in neighborhoods on refuse removals days, and then they are coming off scot-free, wearing balaclavas, concealing their faces with a specific objective. It cannot be accepted. And then lastly, I give it to the National Commission so that we understand what's happening. That night when I complained in this committee, chairperson, that very same night, the commanding officer of the George Police Station had an urgent meeting with those guys. He called in the white guys to sit with him. They are supposed to be investigated, but they had meetings that night, and the next morning they had a meeting. Then they wanted to submit an apology to the complainant, and then the next morning they said, no, we're not going to apologize. There was some intervention. I'm not going to go any further. This is just too upsetting. This is apartheid style. And if we cannot go deeper in this investigation, what is the point of complaining about this? I am again asking this morning, those guys are operating on Wednesday mornings in that area. Why are they operating? Why are they chasing black people away in their communities? Why are they gatekeeping? What is the point behind this? If they assault our people and they come off scot-free in our democratic dispensation. This is just upsetting. And again, I ask that the relevant authorities, the National Commissioner, open up, send a dedicated team or person to their George Station to go and investigate this matter. We cannot leave it like this, because once it comes, it accumulates, and it is a perpetuated. There's gonna be racial tension, there's gonna be racial war, because people are not gonna tolerate this all the time. It's exactly the same trend as your farm murders, where they claim whites are being targeted, but nobody says what the whites are doing to the people. We don't want this type of thing to transpire. This is political. We must treat it with the political motive and objective and investigation. And we must also mind, Chairperson, lastly, we must also mind who we put onto the investigations, because some of these guys that investigate, they go time after time, they go to these white businesses for sponsors for their sports clubs and so on. Thank you very much, Chairperson, and thank you, National Commission.
Thank you, Honorable Golden.
Thank you, Chairperson. Just a quick follow-up. I'm not sure if I missed it, but in terms of the matters, the last one had to do with Bolobedu Police Station, which was meant to be open the second week of Jan. I'm just not sure if we got feedback whether that was in fact opened. That was something we were waiting for Public Works to finish off, so I'm quite keen to find out whether they honored that promise. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. National Commissioner, do you want to comment?
Thanks, Honorable Chairperson. The Southern Cape one, George, I will have a team sent there and go and deal with the matter once and for all, including if there is any wrongdoing on the side of our own members or management. We'll be able to deal with that. We'll give feedback, Honorable Chair. I'll send a team from this side to go and inquire into this old matter. Honorable General Chair, Honorable Chair, I'll ask General Fani and General Zia to comment on that one.
General Fani? General Nzie? General Fani and General Nzie?
Chairperson, good morning. And members of the committee, it's General Hadeb. I'm not sure whether I can respond on the opening of Bulubetu. If maybe Chair, you can allow me.
Please respond.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, honorable members, through you, Chairperson, and the National Commissioner and other senior managers. I must say we still haven't received the total handing over of Bulubetu. Remember, Chair, during the visit, there was a big computer office that they were installing, and we were told that now there's the big computer screen CPU that is still outstanding, that they are still trying to procure. That is responsible for the whole security of the police station. So on that note, we still haven't. We will make a follow up. How far are they in terms of the procurement of that? We did not want to take a handing over with some things that are still outstanding. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think, like I said last week, that we are trying to organize a meeting, a full meeting with the public works. I think that should also form part of that, of the agenda of that meeting. Baruti, Honorable Mishra.
Thank you, Chairperson, for the opportunity. If you may allow me to comment on the matter that has been reported by Honorable Gerike.
Yes.
If I may suggest, Chairperson, that when the matter is investigated, that Honorable Gerike should be engaged to ensure that people who are directly touched by this matter are informed of what's happening and when, and particularly because he spoke about Wednesday mornings, that particular attention be given to what is happening on Wednesday mornings, and wherever possible that Honorable Gerike should have a representative during that period to ensure that assistance is given to the police by those who are on the ground, who know exactly what is happening, because we know that when police make investigations in communities, they need the assistance of community members. So I'm suggesting that there should be a person who's directly involved or affected by what has been happening on Wednesday mornings to be consulted, or the Honorable Gerike to be consulted, to ensure that the police are not leaving some matters that are important unawares, but that they will be properly informed by people who are directly affected by what's happening in that community. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Mishra. I think the National Commissioner is taking note of the comments. Honorable. Yes, Honorable Kumba.
Yes, Honorable Chair, I would also want to support the statement raised now by Honorable Mishra in assisting in coming up with a suggestion around the issue that was raised by Honorable Gerike. I want to also add by saying the members who were, of the community members who were also intimidated or tortured by the same group that is mentioned here by Honorable Gerike, need to also open up criminal cases and go to the police station and report it and have case numbers so that this matter can be dealt with procedurally. Because now, as we are doing it without having an opened case around this matter, it's not going to be actually properly processed. it will be processed, yes, by calming the situation down, but perpetrators must face the consequences. I think Honorable Khibike must advise the communities who were affected by this matter to go and open up the court cases, and this matter must be properly processed, and we must also make a follow-up on whether this matter is taken into consideration in prosecution. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let us not belabor the point. I think the National Commissioner said he will send a team from a different team from what was investigating, and then we'll get it from there. Obviously, when they investigate, they will have to get in touch with the affected people so that they can get more information. I would request that we leave it there, honorable members, and then we will await a feedback on what the National Commissioner has promised. Can I move to the next item, which is a presentation of the third quarter crime statistics? Am I correct, Babano? Yes, 6.1, briefing by the SAPS on the crime statistics for the third quarter, 2023-24 financial year. National Commissioner.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Just to start by saying that the Operation Chanel is still continuing. We have arrested over 400,000 people up to so far. And also, I'm sure what you see also in the news recently is that we were able, Honorable Chair, through almost 1 year's investigation, we were able to make a breakthrough in the ACA case. We've arrested 6 suspects, 4 of them within the country and 2 in Eswatini. It's also important to highlight that the prosecution was done with the NPA all along. That's why, Honorable Chair, for some reason, when people were saying we have made an arrest, we would deny that because we had some plans in how we want to drive the investigation, and people are arrested.
Hello.
Yeah, so after quite a long process, Honorable Chair, we have now have 6 people arrested. They will be appearing in court tomorrow, but it will only be the 4 because the other 2 were still busy with the extradition process from Swaziland back to the country. So we congratulate the team that was involved in that case, but also to note to mention that with regard to the extortion cases, or what they normally call construction mafia, one of the cases that was finalized is that of Vusikeke Matiwela, which was finalized in January, where he was found guilty for the murder of a businessman from Northwest, Mr. Pozona, and others. And all the accused there were sentenced over 30 years imprisonment. In Free State recently, Honorable Chair, there was a killing of a former or suspended CEO of Centelec. Centelec is a power utility there in Mangaung, which was a cold-blood murder by hitmen. We have arrested 3 people in this regard. They have appeared in court already, and 2 are still there. 1 has been released on bail. And in Northwest, somewhere in August last year, I would recall there was a businessman who was gunned down. Mr. Ben Gubani was gunned down outside a restaurant. We have arrested one suspect in that case. He appeared in court. And in Limpopo, the last Saturday where we're coming from, a German, a 74-year-old German tourist who was from Botswana was murdered around Northam area. He arrived in the country, he asked people for direction, and they offered to drive with him, and eventually they end up murdering him. We have arrested, by Sunday, we've arrested 3 suspects with exhibits and blood-stained clothes, and this suspect have been arrested. They appear yesterday in court. There are, however, cases that we are still have yet make a breakthrough. The case of the Rand Water Board executive, the case of DJ Somebody. We are hard at work in those cases, and we are hopeful we'll definitely make a breakthrough soon. Also, just to indicate that in the Western Cape, we are aware of a video that is circulating showing 2 men who are shooting AK-47s into the air. We have identified the area. We know where did this happen, and we are on their heels. They will never survive. We will definitely arrest them before the end of this week, Honorable Chair. And lastly, our building telecom towers, we received yesterday a notice from the Department of Labor, which they indicated that certain things needs to be repaired in the building. One of them is your aircon, and also the electrical installation, which they say is not up to their satisfaction. And they gave us a notice either to repair or shut the building. So we are engaging this morning the DG of Public Works, and we'll be able to advise on developments as we go along. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I will ask General Skukuni to take us through the crime stats for the third quarter. Indeed, yes, the decreases were not as much as we would love them to be. Hence, we are changing our strategies. Gauteng is one of the provinces that is giving us more than 50% of the crime in the country. So we are implementing new strategies there from the 1st of this March, with a view to make sure that we find a way of better policing Gauteng and, of course, all other provinces. But we want to clamp down on Gauteng for now, Honorable Chair. General Skukuni, you can proceed. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
National Commissioner, maybe before General Skukuni comes in, can you just comment on the joint operation with the SANDF? I just saw in the media about the Zamazamas. If you can, if you can't, no problem.
Thanks, Honorable Chair. The operation, yes, we are working with the SANDF jointly with the DMRE within all the mining provinces, the 6 mining provinces. The operation is going quite well. Yes, now and then the Zamazamas will always find a little space and cause havoc within the community, as we have seen in Zamimbelo in Gauteng. But however, our operation is continuing quite well. We have over 1,588 arrests since the beginning of October. There was a mishap that happened, Honorable Chair, last week in Gauteng, where a SANDF member's firearm accidentally discharged, and a member of the public was fatally wounded in that regard. The necessary processes have been undertaken. And yeah, we regret that incident, but it's one of those accidents that has happened. But the operation is continuing in all the provinces, that is your Northern Cape, Northwest, Free State, Gauteng, Mpumalanga, Limpopo, and to an extent in your Pomola area in KwaZulu-Natal, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you very much. General Skukune.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, members of the Portfolio Committee, colleagues, the National Commissioner, all protocol observed. Is the presentation visible and am I audible?
Yes, you are, and the presentation is visible.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, this the Q3 crime statistics that we released on the 16th of February. It covers the third quarter from the 1st of October 2023 up to the 31st of December 2023. So I think, Chair, I will not necessarily go into all the slides because of the assertion that it has already been presented. But however, I will touch on the most important issues and then touch on the other slides, if Chair allows and the committee allows. Then,
yes, Chair.
All right, thank you, Chair. Chair, we normally start with this table, which gives a summarized version of the crime that had been reported to the police for the reference period, as I've indicated. Starting with the murder, we moved from 7,555 to the current 7,710, resulting in 155 more bodies that had been killed within this particular period. Sexual offenses decreased by 261, attempted murder increased by 911, assault GBH increased by 2,931, common assault increased by 234, common robbery increased by 491, robbery with aggravating circumstances increased by 2,502, and the total of the contact crimes or crimes against the person increased by 6,953. Then the subcategories of robbery of sexual offenses, that is broken down into rape. We had a decrease of rapes of 208 counts less, sexual assault 40 counts less. We, however, had increase in attempted sexual offenses, 10 counts more, and contact sexual offenses decreased by 23. Then this subcategory of robbery with aggravating circumstances is derived from this broad category of robbery with aggravating circumstances. However, in this part, we give the crimes that make up that broad category of robbery with aggravating circumstances. We start with the three crimes which are named the trio crime because of their three, made up of carjacking, robbery at residential and non-residential premises. For carjacking, we had 5,973 incidents, resulting in an increase of 365. Robbery at residential premises, we had 6,360, an increase of 104. We had a decrease for robbery at non-residential premises from 4,983 to the current 4,825, resulting in a decrease of 158. And the sum total of the three, which is called the trio crimes, increased by 311. Then the other crimes that make up that broad category of robbery with aggravating circumstances is robbery of cash in transit, where we had a decrease of 11 counts. We moved from 57 counts in the previous comparable period to the current 46. We had an increase of bank robberies from 1 in the previous comparable period to 2, resulting in 1 case higher. Truck hijacking decreased by 12 from 492 to the current 408. Then this is the per capita of the contact crimes. We use the mid-year population estimates derived from the 2021 series as received from Stats SA. This basically gives the per 100,000 for the crimes that are against the person rather than relying solely on the raw numbers. So this allows us to be in a position to compare apples with apples. For the murder, we had the probability of being killed in South Africa is 13 per 100,000 for the current quarter. Rape is 20 per 100,000. Attempted murder, 13 per 100,000. Assault GBH, 87 per 100,000. Common assault, 86 per 100,000. Common robbery, 21 per 100,000. Then for the contact-related crimes made up of arson and malicious damage to property, we had the reduction in both the crimes of 40 and 800 respectively, resulting in the broad category decreasing by 840. For the property-related crimes, we had decreases in burglary at non-residential premises of 960, burglary at residential premises, a decrease of 1,897. Then we had increases in theft of motor vehicle and motorcycle, 88 counts more, and then theft out of, we had 115 counts more. For stock theft, we had a decrease of 156, and for the total of property-related crimes, we had decreases of 2,810 counts less. Then other serious crimes, all theft not mentioned elsewhere, we decreased by 2,456. We had increases in both commercial crime and shoplifting of 4,930 and 620, respectively, resulting in the broad category of other serious crimes increasing by 3,094. Then the total of the 17 community reported crimes increased by 6,397. Then on the crime detected as a result of police action, Chairperson, the desired trajectory of change is an increase. We managed to achieve that across all the 4 crimes that make up the crime detected as a result of police action, where we had an increase of 170 in terms of illegal possession of firearms and ammunition. We had another increase of drug-related crimes of 739, another increase for driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs, 5,532. Then also sexual offenses detected as a result of police action increased by 84. Then the total of the crime detected as a result of police action collectively increased by 6,525. Then this is the summary of the 17 community reported crimes, whereas in the previous slide, we only focused on the national picture. Here we give also the provincial breakdown. I will not go into the numbers, but only indicate the provinces which has managed to record decreases for the 17 community reported crimes. These are led by Mpumalanga with a decrease of 604 counts. And the second one is the first one is Eastern Cape with 808 counts less. Then the second one is in Mpumalanga with 604. Northern Cape, number 3, with 310. And all the other provinces recorded increases. Then these are the top stations for the 17 community reported crimes led by the centrals at number 1 and 2, which is your Cape Town and Durban Central. Number 3 is Mitchell's Plain, 4 Roodepoort, and Johannesburg Central at number 5. Those make up the top 17 community reported crime stations. Then moving on to the contact crimes, again, I will only talk to the provinces that recorded decreases. We only had a decrease for Limpopo with 620 for the contact crimes. All the other provinces recorded increases. And the month of October was the one whereby we at least managed some reduction of 640. However, for November and December, we had increases of 4,129 and 3,464 respectively. Then the top 5 stations for contact crime, they are led by Mfuleni and Nyanga at number 1 and 2, which are both in the Western Cape. And the Western Cape is then broken by Johannesburg Central, which is in Gauteng at number 3, then back to Western Cape at number 4 and 5, made up of Mitchell's Plain and Delft. Then on this one, we again did samples for the reported cases of murder, attempted murder, and assault GBH. We also looked at what are the causative factors. For murder, we used a sample of 7,340. Attempted murder, we used a sample size of 7,312. Assault GBH, 40,074. So based on that, from that sample, we determined that most of the murders were attributable to argument and misunderstanding. This table has been ordered in a descending order from the highest to the lowest causative factor, and the highest causative factor was arguments and misunderstanding with 1,116, vigilantism at number 2 with 431, robbery 404, retaliation 287, gang-related is 269, and most of these gang-related were in the province of the Western Cape. Then fourth from the bottom, we had also 50 murders which were attempt to be tax-related, 23 were rape-related, and then we also had 16 murders whereby law enforcement and security officers were killed in the line of duty. This number does not include police officers, whereas in the current period for the murders of police officers, we had 22 police officers that were killed. So if you add the 16, then it will give you that 38 law enforcement and security guards, including police officers, were killed within the 93 days, making up the third quarter of the financial year. Then the places of occurrence from the same sample sizes, again focusing only on the murders. The place where most of the murders had occurred was in the public place, street or recreational centers, 3,835. In the residences known by the victim, 1,956. At the place where alcohol is being sold, like your Shabin Tavern and nightclub, 306. And then we also had 107 murders at agricultural or small farming. Then we had 90 of the murders at spaza shops. Then we also had 26 that had taken place at the place where fuel is being sold, that is your petrol station. And we also had 7 of the murders having taken place at educational institutions that include universities, schools, college, daycare facilities, etc. Then for the murders of women on the left-hand side, the murders of women increased by 34 and the attempted murders by 194, and also assault GBH against women increased by 1,203. For children, both boys and girls between the ages of 0 to 17, we had a decrease in the murders of 34 and attempted murders decreased by 62, and the assault GBH increased by 242. Then this, we now go to the total murders for provincial breakdown. The provinces which recorded decreases was the KwaZulu-Natal, which recorded the highest decrease of 172 counts less. The second highest reduction was Eastern Cape with 41, Free State 6, and then the Northern Cape recorded the same number as in the previous comparable period. Then the provinces with the decrease, with highest increases was Mpumalanga with 144. The second highest was the Western Cape with 103, Gauteng 66, and then we also had Northwest with 36 and Limpopo with 25 counts more. Then this basically does the per capita murder for the provinces. We see that the highest province with the province with the highest per capita murder is the Western Cape, is the Eastern Cape with 22 per 100,000. Then the Western Cape at 18 per 100,000, KwaZulu-Natal at 14, and then Gauteng with 10.8 per 100,000. The lowest is Limpopo with 5 per 100,000 murders. Then this is a graphical representation of the figures that we had presented in the previous slide. However, we also included the population of those provinces and also the murder ratio. So one can then replicate the answers that we received by simply taking the total number of murders reported in the province divided by the population, then multiply by 100,000, and it will give you the meta ratio for that particular province. And here the colors, the more intense the color, like for instance, the more redder it is, then it gives you the highest, and the lighter colors gives you the lowest. The top 5 meta stations is led by Inanda in KwaZulu-Natal, and the next 4 are from the Western Cape. That is number 2, Mfuleni, Gugulethu, number 4, Nyanga, and number 5, Khayelitsha, and also number 6 is Delft. So meaning that the top 6 stations for MEDA, the highest one is Inanda, which is in KwaZulu-Natal, and then from number 2 up to number 6, those are stations from the Western Cape. Then this is a provincial comparison of the slide that I had already spoken to. I will not go into the details, safe to say that most of the arguments that had been arguments were indicated to be the causative factor in KwaZulu-Natal, 262. Then the second highest is Western Cape with 252, and then the Eastern Cape with 203. The others can then be read from the table. Then the places of occurrence, looking those matters which had taken place at the residences of the perpetrator. Again, KwaZulu-Natal recorded the highest with 523. Then the second highest was the Eastern Cape with 391. The third highest was Gauteng, 388, and 302 in the Western Cape. Then I'm looking for those matters that had taken place at the educational institution. There were 7. 3 of those matters were in the Eastern Cape, 2 in the Western Cape, and 1 each in KwaZulu-Natal and Limpopo. Then these are the instances whereby we had multiple matters. As one can see, we had mass shootings in Boitekong, 9 people, KwaMashu, 7 victims in 1 incident, DR6, Inanda, 5, and then we also had 5 victims each in each of these separate incidents in Umlazi, Kwadwesi, and Diepsloot, and the one that was in Umlazi also resulted in 1 attempted murder. Then the weapon of choice used in the commission of the murders was a firearm, 892 in Gauteng. It was indicated that those murders were committed using a firearm. The second was KwaZulu-Natal, 794, Western Cape, 617, and the Eastern Cape with 468 murders attributable to firearms. In total, 3,173, 3,137 murders were committed with a firearm, and the other instruments can then be read from the table. Then police officers, I've indicated that 22 police officers were killed in the 93 days making up this quarter, plus the 16 that were killed that day of security and law enforcement officials. This make up 38. Now, of the 22 police officers that were killed, 12 were killed while on duty and 10 were killed whilst off duty. Then rural attacks on rural communities. For murder, we had 2 counts more. Sexual offenses, the decrease of 2. Attempted murder, a decrease of 6. An increase in terms of assault GBH of 4. Decrease of common assault of 3. We did not have any common robberies. Then we also had the reduction in robbery with aggravating circumstances of 18. And the total of contact crimes against a person on attacks on rural communities decreased by 23. Then on the next slide, we look at the links whereby who was killed in these farm attacks. We had 1 incident. The person who was killed was an employee. 3 were farmers and 16 were farm dwellers, and most of these farm dwellers were killed during a robbery. 2 of the victims were visitors to the farm, making up the 22 people that were killed on the murders in the farming community. Then moving on to the rapes, the provinces which recorded decreases was the Eastern Cape, Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal, Limpopo, Northern Cape and the Western Cape, and only Northwest, Free State, and Mpumalanga recorded increases in the order that I have mentioned them. Then the top 5 stations, we have number 1, Umfuleni, 2, Mthatha, 3, Thoyando, 4, Lusikisiki, and number 5 is Shehu, making up the top 5 rape stations. Then this is the per capita, using the same analogy that we had used for the MEDAS. Then for the provincial distribution of places of occurrence, we did this from a sample size of 8,723. Of these, 5,452 of the rapes happened at the residences of the perpetrator, including residents known by the victims, family, friends, and neighbors. Of these, the province with the highest such places of occurrence for rape was KwaZulu-Natal, with 1,082. The second highest was Gauteng province with 931. Third was Eastern Cape with 844. Then the Western Cape with 761. And then the others can then be read from the table. Then I've already talked of the matters that had taken place at places where alcohol is being sold. Then on the top slide here, we have murders and other crimes where it was indicated that alcohol and drugs were used. For the murders, 335 of these murders included the use and abuse of alcohol, and 8 included the abuse of drugs. Then the rapes, 1,957, indicated that alcohol was used, and in 103 of the rapes, drugs were involved. Assault GBH, 5,872 included the use and abuse of alcohol, and 124 included the use and abuse of drugs. Then we have the 7 murders and the rapes that had taken place at educational premises. We have that 38 of the rapes had taken place at schools, 11 at tertiary, 6 in special schools, and 6 in daycare. 6 of the murders happened at schools, and then 1 at a tertiary institution. Then in this slide, we tried to indicate who were the perpetrators of these murders and who were the victims. So that can be read from the table. On the next one, we look at the same for provincial breakdown for the rapes that had taken place at educational premises, and one can read from the table which of the provinces recorded the highest rapes at educational premises. Then on the next slide, we look at the educational premises again for rapes. On the left-hand side, we show who was the perpetrator, and then on the top, we show who was the victim. So to read this table appropriately, for those rapes that had taken place at the school, you would then say 38 of the perpetrators, no, 26 of the perpetrators were learners, and also 26 of the victims were learners, meaning this would be an instance where a learner raped a learner. And the rest of the table can then be read from that. Then domestic violence as a proxy for gender-based violence. We have, these are murders or crimes that had been committed by people who have some kind of a domestic relationship. We had 258 murders where it was indicated that there was some kind of a domestic relationship. And then of these victims, 152 were female and 106 were male. For the rapes, we had 896, whereby it was indicated that 851 of the victims were female and 45 were male. Then we move on to the subcategories of robbery with aggravating circumstances, starting with carjacking. We had increases across all the months that make up the 9 months, the 3 months, and the provinces which recorded decreases was KwaZulu-Natal with the highest decrease of 178, and Eastern Cape the second with a decrease of 28. The other provinces recorded increases. Top 5 carjacking station is led by Ivory Park, Philippi East, Harare, Nyanga, and Moroka. Then these are the type of vehicles that are mostly hijacked, sedans. They were hijacked in 2,754 incidents, bikies 1,824, motorcycle 402, and SUV in 387. Then robbery at residential premises for the 3 months making up the quarter, we only recorded a decrease in the month of November 33. We had increases in October of 84 and then December 53. For the provinces that recorded decreases, it was KwaZulu-Natal 149 less, Limpopo 22 counts less, Northern Cape 4 counts less, and the Free State 1 count less, and the other provinces recorded increases. Top stations for robbery at residential premises. Number 1 is Plessis Layer, 2 Inanda, 3 Tembisa, 4 Ruduport, and number 5 Marian Hill. Non-residential premises, we only recorded an increase in the month of October. However, or in November and December, we had decreases of 83 and 87 respectively. And the provinces which recorded increases was the Eastern Cape with 165 and Northwest with 64 counts more. The rest of the provinces recorded decreases. Top stations for robbery at non-residential, they are led by Madeira, number 2, Johannesburg Central, 3, East London, 4, Rustenburg, and 5, Calcutta. Cash in transit robberies, we had the provinces that recorded increases was the Eastern Cape with 2 counts more, Northwest 3 counts more, and the Western Cape with 1 count more. Then Limpopo and Northern Cape recorded, and KwaZulu-Natal recorded the same numbers in the previous comparable period. Then these are the cash in transit methods that were used to commit these cash in transit. 29 were committed while the armored vehicle was on the road, and this is the provincial breakdown of the 29. 9 was in Gauteng, 8 in the Eastern Cape. Then we had 12 which were cross pavements, and this is the breakdown. The 4 that happened at the Merchant Rail, and this is the breakdown, and there was only 1 where the armored vehicle was static in the street, and that was in Limpopo. Then in 18 of these cash in transit, the armored vehicle was shot and then bombed. In 4 incidents, it was blocked with another car and then bombed. Then in 7, the method used was to collide with the armored vehicle and then subsequently bombed. Then this is the provincial breakdown of the robberies of cash in transit. Then the truck hijackings, we had increases in October and November of 5 and 6. Then we had a decrease in December of 23. The provinces that recorded decreases was Gauteng with 24, Mpumalanga with 17, the Western Cape with 5, resulting in a total cumulative decrease of 12 counts. Then most of these stations that track hijacking, they are in the province of Gauteng. If I'm not mistaken, I think over 18 of these stations are in the Gauteng province. However, number 1 is in the Eastern Cape, which is your Swartkops in the Nelson Mandela district. Then we also looked at selected sample of 3,975 for kidnappings. From this sample, it was determined that 138, there was a ransom demanded. 23, it was human trafficking related. 18 was extortion. And the provincial breakdown of these crimes are indicated in the table. Then these are kidnapping for ransom related. We had most of these in the month of October, an increase of 26. We then had decreases of 3 and 13 in the month of November and December. Then these are what we call the core diversion. These are instances or incidents which require the presence of police to ensure that there are no misdemeanors, etc. We had 1,148 that were termed to be peaceful, and 407 of these were termed to be unrest. And most of these happened within the provinces of KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng. In KwaZulu-Natal, we had 341 which were peaceful, 83 which were unrest, and in Gauteng, we had 330 peaceful and 60 unrests. That is the last of the slide, and I thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thanks, Honorable Chair. That is the presentation on the crime stats. Thank you.
Chair, you might be muted.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, General, for your presentation. Can we, National Commissioner, do you want to comment before members come in?
Thanks, Honorable Chair. I think it is worth mentioning that for the same period of the third quarter, we were able to achieve convictions in relation to murder of life imprisonment. 42 murderers were handed down, 56 life sentences during that period, meaning the murders did not happen during that time. It might happen 5, 10, 15 years back, but it was during this third quarter that the sentences were handed down, 56 life sentences, and 20 years imprisonment on murders. It was 83 murderers that were sentenced. For 10 to 19 years imprisonment, it was 282 murderers. Collectively, it's over 200, almost over 300 years, Honorable Chair. I think that's where I will end it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, National Commissioner. Honorable members, there is a report on third quarter crime statistics. Can we engage with the report? Honorable Terplanch.
Chairperson, thank you. Before I get to the crime stats, I just want to go to the telecom towers first. The National Commissioner also touched on that. Chairperson, I am concerned about the situation at the telecom towers. You know, we had various discussions about this issue. And I mean, now my understanding is that the Department of Labor issued a prohibition notice that it cannot be used, and maybe in some instances, even some improvement notices. I know that you said that, you know, we are going to include that in our discussion with Public Works. Chairperson, if my memory serves me right, the state is paying here a huge amount every month, you know, for these buildings. And now, you know, my question is, who's going to take responsibility for that now? And what needs to be done? I think that, you know, the police, in consultation with Public Works, will have to come up with an urgent response as to how we are going to address this issue. Chairperson, coming to the crime stats. And, you know, before I start, you know, digging into that specifically, Chairperson, what is worrying, and I do understand, you know, that there was a situation maybe the last time, but, you know, we are dealing with the crime stats today. It's not news anymore, Chairperson. It's still worrying, yes, but it's not news. The crime stats was released long time ago now, and we, you know, the committee only get to know about it officially, you know, in a meeting today. And that cannot happen, Chairperson. And, you know, what is even more worrying is, you know, for the last 2 weeks now, this is now the second week in a row that we don't get the minister here, we don't even get the deputy minister here, and this committee is responsible to keep these two gentlemen, you know, to account. And I mean, we must ensure that they will be here. I complained since 2019 already that we are battling to get the minister in this meeting. And, you know, there's always some very, very proper and good excuse why it cannot be done. coming to the crime stats itself, Chairperson, obviously the whole bigger visibility by the police is very, very welcome. And, I really do appreciate that. Chairperson, the one question that I have though is, we are told and we see, evidence of a lot of arrests, a lot of activities. I think the one thing that is missing is that what is happening to this arrested people? Were they charged? Were they found guilty? Did people paid, maybe, admission of guilt? So what happens now with this bulk of people that got arrested? At the moment, my concern is, despite all these activities, and as I said, I do appreciate that, a crime is still going up. So what must be, what is this, the answer that we must get to then? The question is this working or not? Apparently, it's not working as yet to the extent that we would like it to be working. And Chairperson, so I'm also glad to learn that the National Commissioner, he mentioned new strategies, and that is really something that, in Afrikaans sal ons sê, ek het my ore gespits. Okay, the detail is still not there, but we really need a new approach. We really need new strategies. And not only, plans, we need to roll these plans out and see whether these new strategies will not bring about the desired results. Chairperson, I'm also very concerned about police officials that got killed in, over this period. 22, really 22. It's like a war against the police. And we cannot just sit, and fold our hands and say, no, it's fine. They're supposed to be fending for themselves and protect themselves. I think something needs to be done. We need to, engage into something, to come up with a solution. Chairperson, and then what is also worrying is the top crime stations in terms of murders are nowadays mainly Cape Town Central, Joburg Central, Durban Central. And what are we doing about the central police stations? Why is this the case now? Chairperson, we desperately need, income this country. And, tourists, I dealt with one last night, they don't want to visit these, biggest centers, the biggest cities of us any longer. Chairperson, thank you. I'll stop there for now. Yeah, no, the last thing, Chairperson, is rapes at schools and educational premises, the safety there. That plan will also have to be revisited. We cannot allow that, our children got raped at school and at educational facilities. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Terplanch. Just to say, last week the minister was in the meeting. It's not 2 weeks in succession. Honorable Gerike.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and thank you to the National Commissioner and his staff for presenting these statistics. Chair, you will recall that, but just before I address the crime stats, can I just, in the preamble of the Commissioner, National Commissioner, he spoke about various incidents of crimes that appeared. I just want to also just mention, respectfully submit the appearance, if you can call it that way, of the missing girl in Saldanha Bay. We know that the police are on the ground. I have done an oversight visit myself yesterday, and we have been briefed about the initiatives undertaken by the police and also by the community of what has been done. But there was something outstanding after all, National Commissioner, through the chair, I hear that I hear in my engagements that people are asking for more intervention, more specialized intervention. You know, this thing has now spiraled out. It became now a racial issue. Celebrities are making TikToks on this matter. The night before, last night, it was Monday night, a taxi full of people were transported from Cape Town to that area. Many taxis and many cars, and people were parading, masquerading with guns openly there. They went into the Black Township there, the squatter camp, and they started to search people's houses, you know, invaded the privacy of the people and so on. We have discussed it with the commander-in-chief there yesterday, the police commander, and he has undertaken to put certain strategies in place. But this is, and it's also used as a political tool for some politicians making, I mean, there's one of the prominent guys in the country that went around, taken this woman to a restaurant, and he virtually investigated and interrogated that woman, you know, effectively contaminating the investigation. And we have called, I've made a video myself and called on the community to go and lay charges wherever they have been inconvenienced. And I think bigger or greater emphasis should be placed on, you know, arresting those guys that go out there and harass the community and taking advantage as vultures. They're acting to score political points and celebrity points in this regard. This is just a mental note, a chairperson to the National Commissioner, but it requires some urgent intervention. But the community and some of our colleagues, they ask for specialized intervention so that this case may come to some point kind of closure. On the crime stats, I'm going to be brief. It is what it is that we see every quarter and every year the stats released, and then the police informing us of what is happening in our areas and so on. So that is good, that is great, that is commendable, and it is needed, Chairperson. But I'm always thinking differently in the other way. And in this instance, I think, all right, I am one of those people that steer away, or that's careful to lay the blame at the doorstep of the officials. I'm very careful when it comes to that, because your officials can only operate within that framework that's given unto them. In other words, if their budgets are limited, they can only operate with a limited budget. And if their manpower are limited, they can only operate within that framework of a limited staff complement. So it brings me to this point to say, unless there's some intervention on those levels, we will see the same quarter after quarter after quarter and year after year after year. There's not going to be a difference unless there's some other intervention. That argument makes sense to me, because you cannot do the same things with the same resources and expect different results. It's just some kind of madness in that formula. So I'm glad that the National Commissioner has spoken, as Honorable Blanche has mentioned, about new initiatives, new strategies, and so on. Just yesterday, the head of the NPA called the Criminal Procedures Act outdated and does not speak to the crime of the day. This is what the National Prosecuting Authority head is calling the CPA Act. Now, when you hear that statement, you bring it automatically to your committee and the people that work with crime on the ground. You will recall a couple of months ago when I just came into this committee, I have also raised the issue of a review of the Criminal Procedure Act. Thereafter, I've heard the minister was in Durban at the POP crew meeting. He's also called for the review of the CPA Act. And without going into the crime stats, because there's nothing that we can do to this. We can hammer the police, we can criticize them, we can do whatever. They have done according to what is within their disposal. Now I'm asking the following. Has the time not arrived for the police also to look urgently and critically into all the changes that's happening in our country at the moment? Your outdated CPA, Criminal Procedure Act, versus the role of the police, versus the crime prevalent in our community. Has the time not arrived that we must come up with new initiatives, but not on a long-term level? This is urgently needed. In other words, Chairperson, are we not at a point where we say we need to increase our specialized units on the ground, particularly in the areas that Honorable Tablanche has mentioned in your inner cities? Cape Town is, the inner city of Cape Town is becoming a hub. Joburg is already a hub for a long time ago. There's some kind of, over and above the infrastructure on the roads, on the streets, and so on, we also need an overall of your policing setup. I think this is where we need to go to in order to clamp down on your crime, in order to be effective. Because, again, let me reiterate, it's gonna be pointless, even when you want to score political points. It's gonna be pointless to bash the police and to go on and to smear on a smear campaign and distort information about our crime stats. We need to roll up our sleeves, come up with new strategies. And I think it should be starting at this committee, where we recommend to the police or the police management or the politicians to say bigger budgets, more boots on the ground. We've got to go out of our way now. It's no longer business as usual. The National Commissioner will most probably tell us the criminals become more dangerous. They are more determined to do what they want to do, to rob, to kill, and so on. So then you must adjust to the times. You must adjust to your statistics, and it cannot be business as usual. I'm going to stop there, Chairperson. I would love to hear what is the way forward in this regard, because we also need to report to our communities. If we hear from the mouth of your commissioners and the experts in this regard. But we, from the EFF side, we make a point, we emphasize that we need more, much more, thousands more boots on the ground. We need more resources, more specialized units, and particularly in gang-infested areas, there must be a full-time presence of a special squad that deals with those type of gangsterism. We cannot depend. We've seen, in terms of the separation of powers, and although some municipalities or metros try to pretend to say that they are doing something to curbing gangs, and so they are not doing anything in this regard. It's, at this point in time, it's a national competency for the police, and I think we must then act accordingly, Chairperson. I stop there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Golden.
Thank you, Chairperson, and morning to all. Chairperson, I just want to touch on initially, we've got a creeping number there on the murder stats, which is 2.1%, but attempted murders up 13%. We've got a murder problem in this country. And I think what I'd like to understand, and maybe this is not so much for SAPS, but SAPS will have some background numbers on this. It probably lies in the purview of justice. But I think we need to understand what the prosecution rates are, because I'm suspecting we're having repeat offenders here who are not being prosecuted. I mean, these numbers are creeping up. These people obviously realize they're able to get away with it. There's impunity out there. People don't fear justice or the law. I'm suspecting it's making life harder. So we do understand that we're expecting to take in 10,000 more recruits in this year. I'm hoping that the minister would be here, because I would like to understand what the future strategy is on the reservists. That does add to our numbers. We're down 90%. We're at 3,000 where we were at 40,000, which is a substantive force multiplier, A. And B, quite often they're based in the communities where the threats are. So even if they're not doing policing per se, They are a source of crime intel, which needs to help us in this. I do note that a fair amount of the murder side, and let me just get to slide 11, the causal factor is arguments, misunderstanding, road rage, and provocation. That's the highest portion. That is difficult to police. That's a social issue which needs to be dealt with. But stuff such as the gang-related hijackings, taxi violence, that can be dealt with at an intervention level. So we need to focus on that. So I touched on the prosecution rates, and while it is not this portfolio's purview to oversee the prosecution rates, the one side where it does link back is the quality of our detective work and our case dockets. So that's something which we need to follow up on, because if we're lacking at the detective side, it could well be causing that the prosecution's not occurring. So, Chair, I'm not sure if we need to do this jointly with the Portfolio for Justice, but we need to understand, because this needs to be dealt with somehow, somewhere. Is the problem on their side? I know we're having problems with the rollout of, I think it's the integrated docket management system, but that wasn't there years ago, and it seems to have worked. So I think we do need to understand that. I note the 1 in 5 stations in Cape Town, and I'm sure there will be strategies which need to be dealt with that. But I'm going to just touch on the gang side, as indicated. The bulk of the gang murders, and probably a fair amount of the attempted murders in the Western Cape, and specifically within the Cape Town area, seem to be gang related. If we look at the policing side, crimes which were detected or prosecuted as per policing, drug and alcohol in the Western Cape was basically half the country, if not more. So we're obviously drawing links between the organized crime, being gangsterism, drug and alcohol side. There's specific interventions, and I think at the organized crime and drug level, we need to be seeing more of those stats nationally. I think we slipped on that target last year. Then through you, Chair, to the Commissioner, and I think probably to General Patitere, who I believe is on the call. General or generals, I do believe that the anti-gang unit, as of Monday this week, had its numbers increased by 47 members. Well done. I think it's going to help in this fight. I think my follow-up question to that is, I do believe there are 53 more members due. Are you able to indicate when those members are due? And obviously there'll be a bit of training, and when they are available for proper utilization. I look forward to that. And then secondly to that, I do believe that there is a new commander of the unit. Could you indicate who that is? Then lastly, a localized question as it pertains to Cape Town Central. There was an indication that in terms of the community reported serious crimes, Cape Town Central's had a jump of 22.5%. That is enormous. That is enormous. Now, those crimes, to the best of my understanding, are probably going to be something like robbery common. It's going to be theft out of. I know there's a fair amount of resource, both between SAPS, the local SID, and law enforcement deployed on the ground. So this is a very pointed question that I'm making. I do believe we're having prosecution failures there, specifically against maybe one specific court, where prosecution is not happening on this. So I'm going to request some stats in terms of either failure to prosecute, respectively not nolly prosecute, or where these cases are being chucked out. I do believe we've got a specific problem in Cape Town Central. I don't think that those numbers are purely borne out by the lack of policing, but I think it's repeat offenders which have been let out. So I would seek to gain further clarity on that. We need to work much better with the justice system, but I suspect we've got a failure. So just a possible answer there. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thanks very much. Baruti.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairperson. Well, firstly, I want to commend the Treasury, Minister of Finance, for increasing the budget for the police. This increase has obviously given us some hope that we will see more visible policing, more boots on the ground, and that even stations that do not have sufficient vans to patrol will be given cars, because it is totally unacceptable to call a station for help and to be told that we don't have a car, we don't have a van. So this increase in budget for the police is appreciated. I hope that soon we'll be seeing the difference that more money that is given to the police is producing. A major concern is to see the increase in murders in our country. Murders, attempted murders, and assault with the intent to inflict grievous bodily harm has also increased. We also see the number of police that are being killed also on duty is also increasing. I would want to know whether police have accepted the fact that this is going to happen, there's nothing we can do about it, or whether they have plans to stop the killing of the police, the killing of their colleagues. If there is a plan, may we be told what is going to be done to ensure that the killing of the police stops? Does this mean that the criminals know that in South Africa you kill the police and nothing's going to happen to you? And may we be told how many of those that are killing the police are being convicted of such murders, and what's the average sentence they're given? Because killing the police should be equated to attacking the state. The police are representing the state. So the number of police that are being killed are a great concern to the ACDP. Over the years, tourists who visited this country have been commending South Africans of being friendly people. And obviously at the airport, we met a number of them leaving South Africa very happy and say, hey, some of them saying we have never met such friendly people. South Africa is a friendly country. And Chairperson, I suggest that we cannot allow that to change. When we see the increase of the assaults, attempted murders, is that saying to us that South Africa is losing its friendliness? Are we becoming an angry country? And what are we going to do? Because we do not want the comments and commendations that have been coming from the tourists to change that South Africa is a very friendly country. And maybe lastly, a concern about the rapes on school premises. If we are told that there are, in 3 months, 26 learners who were raped by fellow learners, in 3 months, that obviously gives us an average of about 8 to 9 rapes every month on school premises. This is definitely not acceptable. And the police should try to find out what is causing learners to rape each other, because we were learners ourselves. And in our times, when parents took you to school and when we took our children to school, we never expected that you'd hear a report that your child was raped at school. But there are many parents these days who are worried
that their children will be safe at school because of the rapes that are taking place, because of the drugs that are being peddled at the schools. So I would like to know whether the police have tried to think about how to reduce these rapes on school premises. Now, obviously, when you hear that security guards are also raping girls at school, then you know that putting more security guards is not necessarily going to solve the problem, because the guards themselves are involved in perpetrating this heinous crime of raping innocent children. So are the police having a strategy of how to bring these rapes to an end, and how they can ensure that the SGBs who are employing guards are assisted to ensure that they do not employ rapists, but they employ people who have respect for children and themselves? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Baruti. Honorable Majosi.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning to all honorable members, subs. No, mine, Chairperson, I would want to know that subs must tell us their strategy when it comes to the hotspot areas that they've identified. But the problem is that there is no signage that shows that this is a place where it's a hotspot area and what takes place in those areas. For an example, I'll make an example of 14th Avenue in Johannesburg. It is a hotspot area for smash and grab and hijacking and rape, but there is no signage that identifies that it is a hotspot area. So whoever that is new or coming into that area does not even know that it is a hotspot area. I am making this example because I was a victim of that on the 10th of January. I was smashed, my car was smashed, and they grabbed my bag and took everything that I had. There's no signage there that says this is a hotspot area. And again, I truly have a problem with some of the police officers that we have, the attitude that they possess. It then tells you that you are not going to win the war on crime, the war on combating crime, because it is a hotspot area, but it's a norm that people get raped there. That is the report that you get from the police stations when you get there. That no, we know that people get raped there, and they always report. We always find their people's IDs there. There is not even a police van that is put in that area to say at this time maybe be around this area because it's a hotspot area. And there are many hotspot areas. In fact, in Bryanston, when you go to Bryanston, most of the time you don't even see a van of police to show that those areas are areas that are identified as hotspots. And then it is very problematic because, which means we are not gearing up for fighting the issue of crime in South Africa. And again, I wanted to check with the murders. I mean, we've got an increase in murders in certain provinces, increase in rape and GBV. And on the category of girls, you are only covering 18 years and above. I'm not sure, does rape is 17 and below, are they not affected, or it's just that you are not, those cases are not being reported, or what is happening? Because most of these people who are affected, it's girls who would be raped, and there is no way that we can cover 17 and below. And I would like to know why is it only 18 and above that is covered only. But we cannot let go of this issue because gangsterism is a problem in Cape Town. In order for the subs to win the case, the crime on gangsterism in Cape Town, it has to work with the province of Cape Town. It has to work with the municipalities of Cape Town. So whether we like it or not, we must decentralize the issue of police, because then you are able to give power to municipalities so that they are able also to put resources in terms of fighting crime. We are giving power to provinces so that they are able also to fight, to put resources on the issues of crime. But we cannot win it because we can see that national is failing. What we've been nationalizing this issue of police, but it is not working in our favor. And if we give it to provinces and they deal with their own crime on its merits, then it gives them the powers to say, then let us deploy more officers in areas where we can see that crime is mostly taking place. And also the issue of police officers being killed. I did say that, can we get a report? Where are these officers killed? What kind of crimes that are taking place there? So that you are able to say, if it's a heist issue, then we deploy more officers instead of saying it's a one van or two vans that will only be taking care of that, so that we are able then to protect even one of our own, because it is really becoming a problem, the issue of losing police officers all the time. And I would leave it at that, Chairperson, but I would really want the subs to explain this, girls 18 and above of rapes and GPV that has been reported. Are we only categorizing that? And 17 and below, what is happening? Are we not getting cases from those ages or what? Because I would then have a serious concern that, because we know that there are cases that are there and are reported all the time. And we must really get to the inch of all the cases that are reported. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks very much, Honorable Marekwa.
Thank you, Chairperson, and good morning once more. Chair, let me start by welcoming and appreciating the presentation to this committee this morning, and also starting with to note what the National Commissioner mentioned, the successes or breakthrough that they have had over time in ensuring that criminals and those they've been looking for are arrested. This also show from the Commissioner's input earlier on, it ensures that the police continue to do the hard work out there under very extreme circumstances, and we take note and appreciate that the work that they continue to do. Chair, regarding the presentation, I note that with serious concern those cases that have increased in number during this period in review. And I hope that with what has been presented, more will still be expected in ensuring that those cases, murder and others that have been identified as having experienced an increase during the period under review, will be dealt with, and next time we'll at least hear of a decrease in the number of cases that have increased during this quarter. Chair, we need also to condemn the continued murder of women, children, and our police and other law enforcement officers in our country. The levels of lawlessness cannot be tolerated. I think Honorable Mishwe mentioned that the killing of police being equal to attack to the state. It is true. And we cannot tolerate that. Every now and then reading stats and having innocent women and little children and being killed in our country, including the police and our law enforcement officials. Chair, under Operation Shanela, I welcome the report and the successes from this operation. The operation proves to have, when one hears of the successes that have been carried out, it proves to have the potential to really deal with issues of crime in our country. And from my side, Chair, I think it will be very important to ensure that this type of operation is sustainable going forward. It cannot be happening during a certain period, and when years goes on, we don't have it, we don't do anything anymore. I think let us continue on that basis and make sure that the police harshly deal with crime in our country, and make sure that the people of this country live in safe environments all over, Chair. Under the farm dwellers, Chair, this will be for me a question. There's a report in the presentation that talks to the killing of farm dwellers. I just want to check, Chair, if there's any explanation on the sharp increase in the number of murder of farm dwellers during the third quarter as compared to the second quarter. I would just like to have an explanation on that one. The other one is the second question from my input, Chair, will be the capacity of the CIMAC office, this Crime Information Management Analysis Center. Has the capacity of this office been addressed so far, Chairperson? And then lastly, I believe that more focus, Chairperson, must be given on the proliferation of guns in our communities. We're just having too many guns. People are just shooting at people randomly. And I think this is one area that needs serious focus and really be dealt with harshly. That will be my input for now, Chair. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Marekwa. Honorable Golding and Majosi, can you lower your hands? I'm going to give the National Commission. I see the hand of Honorable Kherike. Do you want to say something?
No, just, sorry, Chair. It is just that I'm sitting also, I'm a member of this committee, and allow me the opportunity to distance myself from any proposal that will devolve or allocate power to municipalities. And that proposal, if it's directly in contradiction or in contravention of the Constitution, it cannot be entertained on this level, Chairperson. Section 205 of the Constitution is clear. The roles and responsibilities of the police. There's also roles and responsibilities of municipal police and then your law enforcement divisions. It cannot be even debated on this committee. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, that's not our mandate. National Commissioner.
And thanks, Honorable Chairperson. Firstly, let me start with, it looks like my bandwidth is giving problems. Thanks, Honorable Chair. Yeah, on the matter of what is our response on the increase in crime, we are still implementing Operation Shanela, Honorable Chair. But what we have realized as we go along, we change strategies. We might not say everything, but what we are going to do is, what we are saying is, when I talk about new strategies, that within Shanela, where we see things are not going, we will interchangeably make sure that we adjust. We have seen that especially your centrals are a problem in terms of common robberies. And of course, also your top meta stations, which are mostly in your Western Cape, KZN, and Gauteng. And the top 5 is Inanda, Mfuleni, Kukuletu, Nyanga, and Kailija. So we are going to change our way of doing things, still within Shanela, with a view to improve our performance in that regard. The centrals, the main problem is your common robberies, which we will address it with different ways of dealing with it. I'll ask the PC to just comment on the search for the missing girl. I know we pump resources there, and we must just comment. We are in full support. We are on the deployed all our resources in terms of dealing with recovering the girl. So can I ask the PC Western Cape just to comment on that, General Pategile?
Thank you, General. Thank you to the chairperson of the Buffalo Committee, honorable members in the meeting, and deputy national commissioners. The issue of the child, the missing child in Saldanha, is been an issue that we're working on every day, 24 hours. And I know that the Honorable Harika was there yesterday, and I didn't hear that there was any person that was wielding guns in that area. But we are working there, the police are there. We are aware of the fact that it nearly became a racial issue between the coloureds and the Africans. Coloureds going to the African township to demolish some shacks, but police intervened in that matter. And intervention continues, and to the CPFs as well, to ensure that we do not find ourselves in that kind of behavior at the end of the day. About being political issues, becoming a political game, we don't know that, but we've seen that some people came and many people visited, including Honorable Harike and others. So we are managing that situation in that way, Chairperson. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Honorable Chairperson. The issue of the safety of police, we are doing in-service training, and Honorable Chair, we also picked up that yes, we need to relook back on on our drawing board and see as to what extra measures can be done. Currently, we're doing service training, and we are also improving, as you are aware, the process of making our police stations safe through the project that started 2 years ago with fencing, with gates and CCTVs, but more the in-service training to make our members alert. But of course, also to an extent, we do take note that there might be a problem with the Criminal Procedure Act. There is currently a conference which I also attended and presented yesterday at Beachwood Hotel, hosted by the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. I think their portfolio committee is also part of that conference. The objective or the mandate is to review the Criminal Procedure Act. We also gave our input in terms of which areas we think should be looked at in the new act. One of them is, of course, making clarity and without ambiguities in terms of when can police use their firearms or defend themselves, which we think currently we did take note that there is a problem around that. Members, sometimes they end up dying with their firearms because they are uncertain when they can act. So that we ask that it be clarified in the new law so that members can be able to protect themselves when they find themselves in such situations. Honorable Chair, on the issue around the strategy on reservists, yes, we do require reservists. We still employ them, but however, currently, as you are aware, we prioritize training of the new intakes, and we are using all available training institutions to train the new recruits. For the last 2 years now, which is the third year now, we unfortunately in that new intake, we took majority of some of the reservists were taken over, employed, and we couldn't refill their vacancies because of shortage of these institutions. As soon as we get a gap, we will increase the number of reservists. But for now, the issue is the prioritization as to which we prioritize first. It was just unfortunate, but also fortunate for them, some of them, that as we employ the new recruits, we're able to take some of them over. On the issue of Western Cape, the issue of drugs and alcohol, yes, it is a problem, but it's also a problem countrywide. But of course, Western Cape, the issue of drugs and gangsterism is our problem. We still have our teams that are at work there and the anti-gang unit. We have increased their strength, as Honorable Golding have said. We have increased them. The directive is they must be increased with an extra 100. And yes, a brigadier has been appointed to take command of them. And because we think it's the right thing to do in terms of dealing with the problem that we have in the Western Cape, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Meshwe, do we have plans to stop police killings? Currently, that's what I've explained, that we do in service training to equip our members with the relevant training to be able to defend themselves. But yes, as I said, there are areas that we think there needs to be improvement on the Criminal Procedure Act. And we are, as management of SARS, going back to relook to say what extra is it that we can do. I'm sure we'll update the committee once we have find or analyze this problem much more deeper, and also in terms of what else can we do. We'll let the committee know. But yes, the investigation of the killing of police is prioritized. It is done by the DPCI. I will allow General Libya just to comment on the investigation and sentences in this regard. General Libya. We'll come back to that one, Honorable Chairperson, and let me proceed. Honorable Majosi, with regard to the indication of crime hotspots, crime do move, crime do shift. The specific one here, Honorable Chair, I would love that. I will, after here, engage with Honorable Majosi to know this specific station or station commander that is not responsive to crime hotspots, because it is the duty of station commanders that when there are identified crime hotspots, to respond in terms of operations and to deal specifically with those crimes. We will engage on that one. In terms of the GBV and rape, Honorable Chair, I'm aware that Honorable Majosi said, are we only dealing with the 18-year-old? In the same slide, which is slide 13 of our presentation, Honorable Chair, it does indicate on one side is 18 years and above, which refers to women 18 years above. On the opposite, it deals with the age of 0 to 17, so it does cater for all. And one would also take note that in terms of the 0 to 17 years, there has been, in terms of murder, there's been a 10.7% decrease. Attempted murder, 12.7% decrease. And assault GPH, there was an increase of 11.9%. The issue, the matter of national, I think it has been responded to by some honorable members, but policing currently, Honorable Chairperson, is as per the constitution, but deployment of police is done in the province by the relevant provincial commissioners and station commanders. Yes, we do direct policies in terms of, as you said, Operation Chanel, this is how we're going to do it, but the provincial commissioners have the liberty to respond to crime in terms of when it happens, in terms of their crime pattern analysis in those various localities. General Skukuni, if you can comment on the killing of farm dwellers. In terms of the matter of CIMEC, Honorable Chair, we have not yet capacitated the CIMEC to its full capacity. We do have functional capacity at the CIMEC, but we have not yet capacitated it. We were prioritizing it. But of course, due to the budget cuts that we had, it was going to be a problem to fill up all those posts. But thanks for the Minister of Finance, within the next new financial year, we will definitely, we already discussed it, we are going to capacitate the CIMEC at the right levels at all police stations. Currently, we do have, but it's various levels. It's not same levels of personnel. It is functional, but we need to capacitate it with the relevant people at the right post, which is what we are going to do now in the new financial year. General Skukuli.
General, we had a presentation that tried to address the issue as has been raised. We're just trying to get it flighted in terms of what were the circumstances around those matters of farm dollars. If it is visible, you can indicate to me, then I can go through the slide.
It's visible.
All right, thank you. Yeah, as you can see from those farm dwellers matters, mostly had been during the commission of house robbery. We had, I think, around 2 where there was in the Free State, 3 in Gauteng house robbery, 1 in KwaZulu-Natal, and then 1 was during the commission of other crime. Then in some instances, it was not specified. Then there we also had that 11 victims were killed during robberies at residential premises. And in 1 case, the burglar bars were forced open. And then in where it was not specified, it is not possible to determine the specific motives of the other 10 victims, as bodies were found, but nothing was taken from the premises. Then we also had another case in robbery, identifiable 2 to 5 men in MLO case number. 5 suspects were arrested. In Swas-Reinere, 2 suspects were arrested. And then also in Amalia, the case number is there, and then 1 suspect was arrested. This is the further analysis that we had done in order to try and determine the instances where the victims were farm dwellers. Yeah, then this is the 16. It was also the robbery at the residential premises. This is the breakdown. And then 1 was a burglary, motive unknown to the senior state prosecutor. And then we also had 4 where it was not specified. Then we also determined that 8 of the victims were killed during a robbery. In one case, the victim was found and then the burglar bars were cut. In 7 other cases, the motive for the murder is not clear at this stage. The bodies were found, and then the signs of other crimes was apparent at that stage. Then the Schweizereinecke, where they were arrested, etc. So that was the circumstances around the farm dweller murders. I thank you, General.
Thanks, Honorable Chairperson. During the third quarter, the police were able to apprehend 12 police killers, and during the same period, 2 police killers were convicted and sentenced to 4 lifetime imprisonment. General Nkosi, can you comment on the investigation and sentencing of police killers? General Nkosi. General Nkosi.
Continue, National Commissioner. I will come back to it. In the interest of time.
Thanks, Honorable Chairperson. I think General Skukuni explained the matter about the farm dwellers and killings. We do prioritize everybody within the rural environment, both farmers and farm dwellers. That was the reason why we just didn't say farmers, we had to also say farm dwellers in order to show that we attend to cases of all within the farming environment. I think, that is all the responses, Honorable Chair. Thank you.
Is General Livia and General Nkosi available now?
Yeah, General Nkosi, Honorable Chair, his system is problematic. He can hear us, but looks like we can't hear him. He can't unmute for some reason. Thanks. But I think I did give a response on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, National Commissioner, for the responses with regard to the presentation on the crime statistics. I think we are done with the 6.1. And where members still have some questions, we can do that in writing so that SAPS can respond in writing also. On the issue of taking powers to provinces, I think it was responded to that is a constitutional matter. It is above our competence, it's not part of our mandate. If we need that to be done, we will need to initiate, as members of parliament, we will need to initiate a process of reviewing the constitution and the relevant legislation. Can we go to item 6.2 about CPFs? National Commissioner. Funding and effectiveness of CPFs. Thank you.
Thanks, Honorable Chair. General Musikidi and the team will lead us in this presentation. As you are aware, Honorable Chair, we allocated 70 million to CPFs this current financial year for resources, not stipend. We are working towards that, but we haven't reached that. And so for now, there has been some expenditures in this environment, in the money we allocated for the tools of trade, airtime, and so on. So yes, also transport was acquired in this regard. So I will allow General Msikidi and team to give the presentation. General Msikidi.
Thank you very much, Chair, and a very good morning once more. And thanks to the National Commissioner for affording us the opportunity to take the committee through this presentation. Chairperson, if the presentation can be flighted, or is it expected of me to do the flighting of the presentation? Chair, if you allow me to request my team to come join me and to flight the presentation for the meeting, as I am going to lead the presentation, and you will then respond to questions as they come. And I must indicate on the earlier question by the National Commissioner of the invited persons, in particular on the issues of this presentation of the CPF and the funding, it was an oversight. However, one was looking at the directive that we need to limit the numbers of attendees as far possible as we can, and we have engaged while compiling this presentation that we received the financial outlook of the spending of the CPF and compared to what was submitted to the division, visible policing and operations. And in my view, I thought that would be sufficient because we did have their presentation, which I will talk to in this meeting, Chairperson. Thank you very much, Colonel Mlambo. Chairperson, if we can go to the next slide, Colonel. On the background, this will be the table of contents that will give an overview of why we are presenting this information on CPFs, the expenditure of funds allocated, the functionality of the community policing forums, and the success and impact, not necessarily achieved, but those that are envisaged. I'm not sure if Colonel Mlambo, you are having the correct presentation, but let's go. Chairperson, I will indicate where we have achieved and where we are not achieving. Safe to say the allocation is in this financial year, which it's still not concluded, and it will be premature to present the impact of this funding. It's coming in drips and drops, and some of the required and procured equipments are still coming. Some have also been committed, so it will not be a sufficient response that we do have impact. And safe to say, when we're discussing with the team on the issues of the impact analysis, it will require also the tool to evaluate what we agreed upon and to check if that has been done and what are the end results. So it's my submission and appeal, Chairperson, that perhaps we need to allow this process to conclude, the financial year to conclude, and we can then do a proper assessment and evaluation of the impact. It will be quite very soon to confidently say this is the impact assessment of this money that has been spent. As the National Commissioner has indicated, we were allocated 70 million that was ring-fenced for functioning of the community policing structures and the support in their role that they are playing in the community, assisting the South African Police Service. And after this allocation, the National Commissioner met with the National Community Policing Consultative Forum to consult on the issues of what and how this money can be spent. And as a result, the guideline was developed. The funding was allocated to each province, and provincial commissioners were required to consult their local structures to determine and prioritize the needs and manage the spending. And I want to reiterate on the fact of the guideline that it was the guide that was also looking at what is expected of the department to do and what not to do, since some of the requests that were made were outside of what the department can do in terms of the Public Finance Management Act. In terms of the allocation, chairperson per province, Eastern Cape was given the 6 million for the CPF in sharing on that piece of cake of 70 million. We gave Free State 3.9 million, Gauteng 20 million, KwaZulu-Natal 13.4 million, Limpopo 4.0 million, Mpumalanga 3.1, Northern Cape 3.2, Northwest 3.2, and Western Cape 12 million. This was after the consultation and needs analysis and the size of the province and challenges that we are experiencing in each province to do this particular division. Next slide. The spending and the utilization of the funding will, as at the 26th of February, we're standing at 73.4% on the overall allocation, with a further 20% of this funding that has been committed. And if one took both the money that has already been spent and payments effected and the commitments that were submitted and approved, we are standing at 94.12%. If all the committed funding or procurement gets delivered timely by the end of this financial year, we envisage that all money will be spent. However, we can commit on the 94.12% of the fund. On the next slide, on the next bullet, that talks to the use of the CPF activities as well as to provide resources. The 3 provinces, provincial community policing in Indaba were held. As we speak, we do have one that is underway, and 5 community policing in Bizos and awareness campaigns in 5 provinces has been undertaken. The following resources were procured, and they are already in the use by the respective provinces. It's 69 vehicles for transporting of CPF members for the purposes of CPF functions and activities, buying of the communication tools such as PA system, two-way radios, rechargeable speakers, and projectors to enable them to use these resources during their imbisos and consultations. The marketing material like branded gazebos and banners, the uniform and equipment such as reflector jackets, the caps and boots, and rechargeable flash lights. Next slide. Vehicles were purchased as allocated to police station, or vehicle that were purchased were allocated to respective police stations and districts or the provincial office, and is utilized to support the CPF activities and to transport CPF members for the CPF activities. These vehicles are driven by the authorized SAPS members with the relevant driver permit and authority, and these vehicles remains the asset of the police station, but will be utilized for the CPF, and or as the CPF will be required to use this, the licensing thereof and the maintenance remain the responsibility of the police station. Of the 69 vehicles, the following 7 provinces shares on the 69, 8 of those are in the Eastern Cape, 28 in Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal 10, Limpopo 5, Mpumalanga 6, Northwest Board 3, and Western Cape Board 9 provinces. Vehicles. Next slide. In relation to the functioning of both the forum as well as the board, a National Community Policing Consultative Forum was elected on the 21st of October 2023 and has 6 active members. All provinces and districts have functioning community policing boards. 1,155 out of an eligible 1,157 police stations have functional community policing forums, and a detailed slide will indicate those numbers. Eastern Cape, next slide. Eastern Cape has 8 districts and number of police stations are 199. The number of stations identified to have CPF is 198. Only 1 police station is exempted, which gives us 198 functional CPFs, and that is 100%. The provinces that are highlighted in red, Chair, it will be explained on the next slide. What are the challenges, especially when it gets to the issues of the non-functional CPF structures? But majority of the province, with the exception of Free State and Northern Cape, are performing at 100% in terms of what is expected of them to have the CPF structures, and we have only 3 police stations in different provinces that are exempted from having the CPF structures. This is because of the size of the particular police station. I will not read all the numbers, Chair, if you allow me, that to indicate that we are in total standing at 99.82%. That gives us 1,155 police stations with active CPF, and only 2 of the 1,157 police stations are not functional. Next slide, Chairperson. The following police stations were exempted due to the remote location, as I've indicated, and fluid residency. The Rural Safety Forum were established, however, in these particular areas. That is Ubisdrift in the Eastern Cape, Bootsap in Northern Cape, and Mokgopong in Northwest. Next slide. 2 police stations that do not have a functional CPFs. It's Lady Brent in the Free State. There were issues with the structure at the time that has led to the disbanding of the CPF structure at Lady Brent Police Station, and that was done in consultation between the Civilian Secretariat in the province as well as the Provincial Office. And with their intervention, the new structure is underway. The dates of elections have been provided to the desk. Belmont, it's not functional. It's because of the 2 of the members resigning, and they resigned because of other avenues that they pursued, which made the structure not to be fully constituted and requires that structure be disbanded or the additional members be appointed to make the CPF to be fully functional. So we could not confidently report that we have a fully functional structure at Belmont after the resignation of those 2 members. It's not because of any unbecoming behavior or challenges within Belmont. It's because of the relocation of those that were serving on the board and that warranted them to resign from the structure. The next but least slide, it's what is expected to be the success. Have I indicated in the disclaimer earlier that it is premature for one to confidently present the effectiveness or the impact on crime. However, we need to record and indicate that the resources that we are having is likely to increase the confidence, which is picked up in some of the areas. I personally have a meeting with the board, and the National Commissioner did address them, that the relationship is improving, and the measurement of the victim survey and external customer satisfaction that was conducted in 2021 indicated that majority of the respondents were satisfied by the services of the CPF in respective areas. So we envisage that when we do that evaluation of after this allocation, we'll have more of that improvement. There has been a visible effectiveness in increased information provided by the communities as CPF encourage communities to provide information and reports as they are now accessible and they are able to access their communities. The existence of the relationship has impacted on proactive planning and deployment of policing. In cases of a public gatherings, we have seen better planning in dealing with incidents of public disorder and policing in large and small public gatherings. An improved working relationship may as well result in more information sharing, for example, in relation to the protest actions that are expected in our communities. The mobilization of community patrollers enhances visibility at shopping malls, transport hubs, and community. And from time to time, when we have a engagement with the community, we see how CPF will mobilize their patrollers to also assist in marshalling in those events. The insight information on contact crime and hotspots areas, drug hotspots, school targeted for gangsterism and open public spaces will increase. The allocation of the CPF resources in a recent development and a tool for monitoring and impact analysis will still be developed, and a client survey will be used to assess a further impact on the CPF and police community relationship with the South African Police Service. I submit, Chairperson. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Honorable Chair. That is our CPF presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, General Musiki, the National Commissioner. Maybe even before members interact with the report, there might have been a misunderstanding somewhere, because we wanted to check the effectiveness of CPFs. And where they're effective, what makes them effective? Where they are not effective, what makes them not effective? Funding, is this funding that was given before? Because before they were complaining that there's no funding. Is this funding that was given, has it impacted on their effectiveness? Because provincial commissioners presented where CPFs are effective, where CPFs are in place and where they are not in place. We just wanted to focus on the funding, effectiveness of CPFs, and whether the funding as given, the 70 million, has contributed towards their effectiveness, and what are the challenges if they are not effective. In general, we are left with 2 weeks towards the end of the financial year, and we are releasing crime statistics on a quarterly basis. So we can't wait for the end of the financial year to check whether the budget given has contributed positively towards the effectiveness of the functioning of the CPFs. In as much as we are releasing crime statistics, there is a role that CPFs are playing as you release crime statistics. Somewhere, because of their role, because of their effectiveness, crime goes down, they are able to inform police of their arrest, and so on and so on. If we had time, it's just unfortunate that we are at the end of the term. If we had time, at this committee would also call station commanders to come and account, especially station commanders for the top 30. Because it is my view that crime happens there, and therefore provincial, district, and station commissioners cannot always hide behind the national commissioner. They are expected to account on their strategies to combat crime. Because combating crime cannot be one size fits all. And they are the ones who are working very close to the CPFs. As we were doing our oversight, as they were presenting, they are the ones who are working very close. Somewhere CPFs are complaining about station commanders, somewhere CPFs are happy about the station commanders, and so on. So I just wanted to make such comments because I see possibly there might have been some miscommunication with regard to the report, but we'll see how we move forward. Honorable Golding.
Thank you, Chairperson. Just 3 quick ones. I won't be long. I understand the budget allocations were probably based on population. I'm not sure if it's based on number of stations. If it's based on number of stations, I'm suspecting that we're out. I'm not sure the budget allocation based on population was necessarily the wisest spend. Reason I say this is I do look at the vehicle allocation, which is obviously based on the budget which was allocated. So we look at Gauteng, which purchased 28 vehicles, followed in very far second place by KZN and then the Western Cape. However, when I look at the map of the country, Gauteng is by far the smallest province. Yes, yet it's got the most vehicles allocated. If I look at KZN, specifically the Eastern Cape, where we know we've got issues, where travel may well be needed. Yeah, it looks like we may be short of vehicles in certain places, but I will leave that there. I purely want to touch on let me just get to my own slides here quickly. There was an issue, General Musikile raised the issue of Belmont, where people had resigned. I do believe when we had the presentation by the Commissioner of the Northern Cape, there was an indication, and I quote from the presentation, farmers do not allow their employees to participate in activities of the CPF. Chairperson, this is not necessarily for SAPS, but I think across all parties, this is maybe a little bit of politics which needs to happen, because we need to ensure at a political level that their rights are guaranteed. So I think this is something which we must communicate, because it doesn't seem it's just the fact that 2 people have left. It appears that we're not getting active interest, which may well be to the farmers' benefit there. And then just lastly, I know we've looked at the resource allocation and the spending, and we're saying it's all well, but I'd like to understand what initiatives are happening around training, because in one of the previous presentations, there was an indication that there may well be a lack of training, both from a coordination and training CPFs as to what is that's expected. So at a future date, if we can just look at what that level of training is, specifically in the CPFs where they do cycle through members, just to understand what that status is. Otherwise, thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. I think that's the only question for now. National Commissioner.
Thanks, Honorable Chairperson. Yeah, in general, I would say most of the CPFs are effective. However, yes, at the provincial levels, they can express more as to how the status is. On the criteria, Honorable Chair, we did look at the crime weight of the various specific provinces and also try and emulate the rest of the budget. But I'll allow the CFO to just comment on that. General Dimpan.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Yes, indeed, in terms of the allocation for CPFs over and above what the National Commission has indicated, we took into consideration the number of stations per province and also prioritize those provinces who are having more stations on the top 30 list in terms of crime weight. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thanks, Honorable Chairperson. So that's how it was. But yes, we will pay attention to the expenditure. We are almost at the end of the month, so that 75 we need to move closer to 99. Time is up, so that will prioritize, as we'll do with other areas of cost centers, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you, National Commissioner. Honorable Gerike.
Chair, yes, thank you. Can I quickly ask the 100 members to the gang squad that the Commissioner has announced here today? Are those 100 members nationwide or only in Cape Town and Gauteng? That is the first point. And then the second point is on the allocation of budgets to the CPF's chairperson. If you take 75 million and you look at how many structures we have in our country, CPF structures and so on, then the 75 million obviously will not be sufficient to cover all the expenses to those CPFs. And it's a great pity that the police is not making ample provision, to fund those CPFs, because the CPFs are the backbone in that structure serving the community. Now, it brings us to the following point to ask the municipal law enforcement and councils. There is an understanding that they must also, in terms of their community or through their community service divisions, contribute towards your CPFs and your neighborhood watches and so on. Do we make an effort from the police side to emphasize that, to communicate to the municipalities through SALGA or wherever, to emphasize the fact that there's money needed in the CPFs with regard to that? Because yes, we can say that the CPFs only, the municipalities only have a responsibility towards the excuse me, but my mind now, towards the what you call it, not CPFs, the other name, the neighborhood watches. They have a responsibility towards that in terms of the the funds by the MEC in the province and so on. But are they open to contribute towards your CPFs? Because by extension, the CPFs, many of the members also serve on the community policing forum and also on the neighborhood watches. So we need some intervention. We need to ask municipalities for bigger budgets, to budget for CPFs, to budget for community neighborhood watches. What is our interaction in that regard, Chairperson? Do we communicate? Do we draw some attention in that kind, in that matter? I know from the municipalities where I come from, they virtually don't want to budget for those type of initiatives. They don't want to get involved. And if they get involved, they donate 1,000 rand. And if they donate 1,000 rand and torches and stuff, the condition is that they want to boast and brag in the newspapers to say that they are doing something towards fighting crime. In the meantime, it's just meager initiatives that they are taking. Can I hear that, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Gerike. That was the last question. National Commissioner.
Thanks, Honorable Chair and members. The 100 members is the directive to the Provincial Commissioner of Western Cape, since we have seen that the number of the AG members have dropped. Gauteng was directed to also increase the numbers, but they said they're going to do it with the current training that is about to start. But the 100 was only for the AGU in the Western Cape province, the Western Cape. The 70 million for CPF, Honorable Chair, if you remember, we do acknowledge and agree that it is insufficient. But as you remember, there was never such an allocation before. This is for the first time in history. It's just the beginning. We are looking forward, if funding pressures are not increasing, looking forward that the coming financial year we better it from where it is now. But for now, we say at least it's a milestone, because this is the first of its kind. It never happened before. Municipalities, Honorable Chair, by law, they are responsible for community safety forums, which a CPF is just but one of the structures that must report to the community safety forums. If we are asking that municipalities assist on budget for CPFs, that might be, I don't know, maybe too much to ask, because they do have a legal obligation where they supposed to establish and fund community safety forums, which currently they don't do. So what more for them, for CPFs? There's few that I know. They have, I think, 1 or 2 municipalities in Limpopo that I know. They have community safety forums. From our side is to inform them, which they've been informed and they know. SALCA knows. We do have meetings with SALCA when we have our MINMAX. They are aware of this, and but the establishment of that structure didn't get much joy from municipality level. So we haven't asked them for funding for CPFs. But as I said, if they can't fund what is legally theirs, I doubt whether they'll go next door to fund next door. So that is the position. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much, National Commissioner. That is why I was saying the report needed to be a bit comprehensive, so that we, as a committee, we are aware where are the gaps and be able to advise Parliament correctly. For example, there are provinces that are paying stipends to members of the CPFs. That report should have formed part of this presentation, so that we know whether there's motivation or not, and so on, so that we take a comprehensive report, and when we take a decision to advise Parliament, we have a full report. But this is not a train smash. I think we'll still get that comprehensive report. The contribution by the national office, contribution by provinces, provincial governments, contribution by local government into fighting crimes. In some areas, the private sector is contributing. So all those they contribute towards the effectiveness of CPFs. And I think because CPFs are within our purview, we'll have to know what is happening. I think that was the last item. The next item, I suspect disclosure. Babalo?
Chair?
What is the next item? Babalo?
We are done now, Chair.
We are done. Okay. Now let me thank everybody, honorable members, for attending the meeting. Let me thank the National Commissioner and your team for attending the meeting and submitting your reports. We want to congratulate you and your team, especially police officers at the lower level, for their achievements. In your opening remarks, National Commissioner, you indicated the achievements of your department, and we heartily congratulate you on that one. If we continue with that momentum, I think we'll deal crime a blow. We want to congratulate. Last I attended the award ceremony, and I could see the happiness of police officers who were receiving awards. And when one spoke to some of them, they felt motivated, felt recognized. We want to congratulate you, National Commissioner, on that intervention, because once a person feels recognized, feels motivated, then they'll be able to put their all as they do their work. The president has announced that we got 20,000 police officers, and we're still going to get another 10,000. At some stage, I know, if I'm correct, that you are busy with the recruitment. At some stage, the committee might need to get a report as to whether we are on course with regard to the recruitment of police officers, because you might have heard some members saying we need more boots on the ground. And once we have visible police officers, that contributes towards the reduction of crime. We expect, National Commissioner, we expect to have a meeting with the Minister of, in our meeting next week, we expect the presence of the Minister of Public Works, so that we're able to get from him how he is intervening with regard to these frustrations experienced by police in terms of infrastructure. The Provincial Commissioner of Limpopo has just indicated that we are unable to officially open a police station in Gulubedu because no handover has been done, and there can't be handover without everything being done. And when we were there, we were promised by the same Department of Public Works that everything will be done in time and the police station will be handed over during January. Next week when we meet will be in March, and this has not been done. The issue of the head office, the minister is always complaining that he doesn't have an office, the deputy minister doesn't have an office, and the National Commissioner has also indicated the frustrations with regard to the Department of Labor not approving occupation until certain things are done. Now, all these things are frustrating, and for employees to put their all, they need to be in a habitable environment. So we hope that our discussion with the Minister of Public Works and the Minister of Police next week will be able to give us a positive way forward with regard to issues of infrastructure. We have police stations like in Mangweng that has been standing there for the past 7 years. The contractor has been dismissed for the past 3 years, but there can be an advertisement or even an appointment of a new contractor to complete the police station. And that has an impact because when they arrest people, they can't keep them there. They don't have space. They must use the cars to drive them to far-flung areas to keep them in the cells because that police station doesn't have cell. I'm just using those as examples, but I know there are many of such. So we think maybe this meeting next week with the minister will assist. Therefore, the office, our office, I think has communicated with your office, National Commissioner, just to have an understanding of what is it that you must prepare to come and present, your frustrations and so on. But if that is not done, I think it should be done immediately after this meeting so that we prepare ourselves for next week's meeting. Thanks very much, everybody, for your attendance, for your time. The meeting stands adjourned. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Chair.